It's Daybreak on the Rise News, and it's time for the press preview. And we'll begin with our sister publication this day. Kwankwaso, I'll never step down for Atiku, Abubakar. And Zenith Bank activates Utah season with Ajose Adogun Street Christmas light up. And also in this day this morning, Oyetola bags World Bank Award emerges best governor on efficiency of public expenditure. Tinubu's condolence visit to Akandes in this day this morning. And from this day, we take a look at the Punch newspaper. And in the Punch this morning, NFIU flags 150 trillion transactions. EFCC tracks candidates' spendings. And also, it carried a Zenith story there, lights up the Victoria Island for Christmas. And let's take a look at the Nation newspaper also this morning in our press preview. 2023 G5 governors allies to sustain anti-Atiku moves. An internet rate hike likely as CBN reviews indicators. Why we're backing Obi by Ohaneze. And all this making the headlines in the Nation newspaper this morning. And if we do have the leadership, we can take a look at what's making the headline in the Nation newspaper this morning. Orama Marwa Amosa emerged leadership persons of the year. And the Punch newspaper, the headlines, the Nation newspaper rather this morning, the national economy. Nigeria must prioritize industrial sector for inclusive economic growth. An opinion piece by economists right there. And let's take a look at some of the foreign papers. We'll begin with The Guardian this morning. Climate deal still leaves world on brink of catastrophe. Experts warn. And in the Daily Telegraph this morning, cancer toll surges in wake of pandemic. And in the Financial Times, UN Climate Summit ends in discord after agreeing help for poor nations. And on the press briefing this morning, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello for his analysis. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning. Let's begin with our sister publication. The comment credited to the NNPP presidential candidate, Rabiu Kwankwaso, who says he will never step down for Atiku Abubakar. Now, there have been permutations, and well, if I should call them rules around making the rounds, a few now saying he probably is under pressure by a group of northern elites to step down for the People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar. But he has come out to refute that claim that he will not step down for anybody. Let's contemplate that, Bello.
Well, yeah, but again, let's also look at how this day. Let me make some comment on how this day is reporting this election, and you have to give it to the paper because it's really balanced in the way it's reporting almost every side. Compare that to, for instance, the Nation newspaper and how they dealt with some stories that we are carrying. So you cannot say, oh well, but this day is actually favoring one candidate as against the other. You see, that's the big issue around reporting this election right now with media houses. But I'm sure that will be topic of another day altogether. Let's concentrate on what these days reporting on what Kwankwaso say. Saying clearly that Kwankwaso coming out saying that, look, I'm not going to support Atiku. I'm not going to step down. In one of and he said, look, if I were going to step down, why did I leave in the first place? Or why did they allow me to leave? And he brought out some of the ills of the party, of the PDP, and the things that the party has done to him in the past, like trying to deny him all sort of privileges, and actually calling the party a party of privileged few, where they get to impose. Remember, Benny, some of the things associated with PDP in the past, imposition of candidates and all sort of thing. But there was, the use of garrison commanders at one time, of leaders who would just decide what will happen to the party. Some of those things were the things that actually gave birth to the APC, when they say, look, many things are not wrong, apart from the issue of leadership. So Kwankwaso is kind of bringing all that back now and to defend himself, because you're right, there's been charged that because NPP seem not to be doing much, this race is clearly between now it's becoming a very, very clear-cut race between the PDP and the APC. And so a lot of people are looking at Labour and looking at NNPP and wondering what they will do. While some say Labour seems to be, working towards as a spoiler for some of the votes that the PDP probably will get. Some people think that NNPP is a problem, a huge problem to the APC. And you can see that in some states where NNPP are, some states where you have NNPP alongside the APC. Sometimes the members actually, there's a conflict. In one state I know very well, the NNPP people, they seem to be just a splinter of the of the APC. Some people even believing that it's actually, in time they might actually merge with either the NNPP to do what they will do. To go into elections. So, but Kwankwaso is saying all that is not true, especially for himself, that he's not moving and that he's staying with the NNPP. Not many people are sure that the NNPP will be able to, clinch the presidential thing. But he's there talking about his dreams for the party and saying that NNPP is that. Benny, you remember the third force? We were all saying a third force is coming that will knock out the APC and PDP. He's now saying, Kwankwaso is saying that is the party, it's the NNPP that is that third force. And he's saying that if you put all the years of the APC together and all the years of the PDP together, you will know that the problem of this country came from the APC and the PDP. Sadly, he's also one of those, out of these years, he's been part and parcel of those years that is now complaining. He's saying that the problem of this country basically has been the problem of the APC and PDP. So he is presenting himself as a new force, as a different person altogether. There are those who will say, well, you were part and parcel of those years, especially in the PDP. So, but he's also explaining what happened in the PDP, that yes, he was excited about the party, he would have remained, but that he was pushed out and that he couldn't take some of the things that are happening, which is why he thinks that NNPP is a fresh thing altogether. But kudos to this day newspaper for always reporting all sides, and that is the challenge before us as we report this election. We must be able to give our spaces, our platforms to all the contenders to be able to air their view, and not like the sort of one-sided thing I see the Nation newspaper doing in reporting the APC.
Let's take a look at the Nation. The G5 seems like that, if I'm to describe them that way, unstoppable locomotive, still demanding for the resignation of Ayu as they met in Lagos. Well, this is reporting there was Atiku chant while they were meeting, and the Nation reports differently. Let's talk about the G5. Yeah,
there's a sort of thing I'm talking about. You take a story that seem to have favored your principal or your editorial position on your principal, and then you are not ready to look at all sides. At that G5 meeting yesterday, the way these days reporting it, there were the Atiku chants. So it didn't go as gloriously smooth as the Nation newspaper is painting it. The Nation is saying that they've redoubled their effort to fight Atiku. But even there, the G5 governors are beginning to say things like there seems to be a shift in Grand Benny. They are beginning to say things like, well, we're still open to dialogue, we're still open to some reconciliation. They've not entirely left the party. They've not said that, look, they are not doing PDP anymore. They seem to be supporting aspects of the party, saying, for instance, they are going to work assiduously for the PDP. So it's not really true that it's the end of the situation between them and Atiku. Atiku too saying that, or the Atiku camp actually also saying that, look, we are ready to reach out. So there's some kind of talk in the background about, and if I know these people very well, these politicians, you'll be just shocked tomorrow. You wake up in the morning, this is all over. They've settled their differences. They are back on the same, because even as it is now, it's not as if the Wike camp has actually left the party altogether. The Nation seem to be suggesting otherwise when they report again and again, play up the crisis within the party. But again, maybe that is they're trying to beat up with their editorial policy on this matter. But if we're going to do hardcore reporting, well, we must forget some of these things. Instead of editorializing the story, to do the hardcore, difficult professional story that demand us staying all sides of the story. So this day clearly was reporting that yes, there was that meeting. Yes, they've moved to being called Integrity Group, but for a balance, Atiku chants happened, and that seemed to take away the shine from whatever they were planning. But the Nation, like Benny, like you noted, didn't report that. Rather, it was very bold with the fourth lines that the G5 have been talking about all along, that Atiku has not done with them well. He has not, the issue of IU is still very strong. And I think at the weekend, even there were the Okowa must go chant in a PDP event. So those are the sort of stories that we're inundated with, and reporting them will always be the challenge. We must find a way of looking at all sides of the story.
Now, let's contemplate they are still on one of their major demands, which is the resignation of the party chairman, Yocha Ayu. They seem so insistent on this, and they had a closed-door session, which we're not privy to what might come out of this closed-door session. Now, how pivotal is the resignation of Ayu to PDP winning this election, given the claims and the stance on the G5?
Well, you can't take away the the importance of these governors. I mean, they are governors to start with of their states, and these are PDP states. They have the muscles and the power to be able to galvanize those votes for the PDP. So yes, unless the Atiku camp is thinking of maybe a backdoor way to get around some of the votes, a lot of people saying that, look, the kind of elections we are going into probably will not demand the role of a powerful man who sits there and say, this is the person you must vote for, that's the person you must vote for. That those days are gradually going, because I mean, people have access to voting, but you still need those structures. You still need the governors to be able to help. You need their structures, you need their their platform, but of course even the fact that their mobilization to be able to get you votes. So you cannot actually just do away with governors and say, well, they don't matter. They do. For whatever reason, they've been there for years. They've been able to garner some kind of following, and their words will mean a lot. So, and all of that, and that's why people tell Atiku that, look, if you're really serious about winning elections, then maybe you should give in to the demands of the G5. But Atiku himself has consistently held to the point that, look, well, he can't do that. It's unconstitutional. And some people have pointed out the problem that will be there if you just ask Ayu to resign, unless if he wants to resign himself. They look at the constitutional crisis of holding yet another convention to determine who becomes the national chairman. So that's the position of Atiku, always saying that, look, this is beyond me and it's a little bit too late in the day. Ayu himself saying that, I'll step down as soon as we have a president in place, that provision wasn't meant for a presidential candidate. The idea that if you have a presidential candidate who is from one part, the party chairman should be from another party. They say that is not for the candidate, that is for when you have the president in place. That seemed to be Ayu's excuse. At the weekend he did his birthday, was full of, seems to be very happy with his position. A lot of people going to the birthday. So probably he's consolidating his whole tool, but the G5 are digging in and saying that he must go. There's a bit of the Okowa team too that in a town hall where some people were saying, Okowa too must go. So all sorts of problems associated with the party. But then in politics, one day it's like 100 years, and 100 years is like one day, and one of these days we'll just wake up and hear that these people have settled their differences. But for now, it's a challenge that Atiku will have to face in dealing with the problem of the G5, who just became the integrity group in their Lagos meeting.
Now, quickly, on the 6th, before I let you go, the ONS, they said something about why they're supporting Peter Obi. Can we just contemplate that in just 60 seconds a bit? This was expected, isn't it? Yeah,
well, yes, and Benny, we spoke about it last week when it was so clear that Soludo was digging in and trying to become the spoiler, so to say, to the obedient movement. We were wondering why you actually asked that. Why is the Ohanese? They probably heard you, and so now they're digging to say, look, we're supporting Peter Obi. This is what we've all feared at the start of this race, that it might just go back to becoming some kind of regional thing. With Ariwa, of course, not coming out clearly to say who they are supporting, but Afenifere, at least a section of it saying we are backing Tinubu. Now Ohanese is digging and saying it's Peter Obi. It's like an ethnic battle now as it is.
Emmanuel Bello, thank you very much for your analysis on the press review. And